Hello, my class. It's time for our Bible story from our theme book, God Gives Us Families. Now, this story is also in the Bible, and later on, if you want to find your Bible and read it or have someone read it to you, it is in Exodus, the end of chapter 15, and in chapter 16. The story is about the Israelites. They have left Egypt, of course, already. They are no longer slaves for Pharaoh, and God sent them the cloud to lead them. They have gone through the Red Sea, and they are now traveling across the desert. Now, of course, the desert is very hot. And so do you think their feet got tired? And do you think that they got thirsty and hungry? Of course they did. Well, you listen carefully through this story, and every time you hear the Israelites being hungry or thirsty, you can moan or groan or rub your tummy. All right, so let's listen and find out. Did they remember that they can trust God?
God gives us families. Desert surprises. Moses and the Israelites were thankful that God had helped them safely cross the Red Sea. They were happy that they wouldn't have to worry about Pharaoh again. They were also happy that they wouldn't have to go back to Egypt to be slaves. Now the cloud was moving forward. The Israelites had to pack up their tents and supplies and be ready to travel. It was time for the Israelites to begin their long journey to their new home in Canaan, the land that God had promised them. We'll trust God and follow where the cloud leads us, fathers told their families as they started traveling. The journey took them through the hot, dry desert. For 3 days, they walked over sand and rocks. Mothers and fathers shared their water with their children, but soon their water bags were empty. "We're hot and thirsty," many of the people complained to Moses. Then someone saw a large pool of water. Quickly, the Israelites ran to the water and began taking big gulps of cool water. "This water is bad," they shouted. "Moses, what are you going to do?" Moses trusted God. He knew God could help them. So Moses prayed and asked God what to do. God pointed Moses to a special piece of wood. God told Moses to throw the wood into the water. Moses did, and the water turned from bitter to sweet. Everyone drank as much water as they could. They filled their water bags and splashed water all over their faces. The children played and splashed in the water to cool off. Even the animals were happy to have cool, fresh water to drink. The large cloud stopped near this spot. Here the Israelites set up their camp. It felt so good to rest for a few days. After several days, the large cloud began moving again. Families packed up their tents and supplies once again and were ready to travel on toward their new home in Canaan. But soon many people began to complain again. The food they brought with them from Egypt was almost gone. There was no food in the desert. The people forgot that they could trust God to take care of them. Instead, they complained to Moses. "We're hungry and our food is almost gone," they told him. "We wish we were back in Egypt where we had food." God heard their grumbling and complaining. God told Moses, "Tell the people that I will make sure that they have food to eat every day." The next morning when the Israelites woke up, the ground was covered with small white flakes. "What is it?" they asked Moses. "This is bread that God is providing for you," he explained. Someone bent over and picked up a few pieces to taste. It's very good. It is sweet like a honey cake." They knew God was taking care of them. "Collect just enough manna for today," Moses told the people. "What you don't use today will spoil. it will not be good tomorrow. But on the sixth day, gather enough for that day and the Sabbath, because there will be no manna on the ground on Sabbath. The Sabbath is a special day for rest. God doesn't want us working to gather up manna on that day. And on the sixth day there was twice as much manna on the ground as any other day of the week. The Israelites used their basket and bowls to pick up twice as much manna as they usually would. And that manna did not go bad. It was still good on the Sabbath. On the Sabbath, the Israelites didn't have to work to gather any manna. They could trust God to take care of them. One time, the Israelites forgot how much God loved and cared for them. They complained about having only manna to eat. They remembered all the foods they had back in Egypt and wanted food like that. That evening, God sent a big wind with lots of quail to fly into their camp. The Israelites were happy to have different food to eat that evening. All of this special food was from God. God was showing the Israelites how much He loved and cared for them so that they would trust Him more. Every day for 40 years, God provided food and water for the Israelites. God is so good to your family too. He does so many wonderful things for you and gives you so many good things. Because God takes such good care of us, we can say, I trust in you, my God.